So, you know how there's always talk about trade between the US and China? It's almost like background noise sometimes.
Yeah, it definitely is. Hard to keep track of.
But then Treasury Secretary Bessent said something just this week, Wednesday, I think, that made me sit up a bit. He talked about an opportunity for a big deal.
Right. That phrase definitely catches your ear,
Yeah.
especially coming from him. It suggests maybe something more substantial than the usual headlines.
Exactly. So that's what we want to dig into a little today. What could this potential big deal actually look like based on what Bessent said at that Institute of International Finance event?
Okay, yeah. Well, a big piece of it seems to be this idea Besant mentioned about the administration wanting to uh, rebalance the U.S. economy
Rebalance towards what exactly?
towards more manufacturing specifically,
Yeah.
bringing more of that production back home.
Okay, right. Less reliance on imports, more things made here. Makes sense.
And crucially, he connected that to China. He said China also needs to shift away from what he called export-led manufacturing growth.
Ah, so the idea is China's been focused on making tons of stuff to sell out, and maybe that needs to change too.
That seems to be the core message, yeah. For this deal to work, both sides need to adjust their economic focus, basically.
He was pretty blunt about it too, wasn't he? I saw that quote.
Oh, yeah, very direct. He said, China needs to change. The country knows it needs to change. Everyone knows it needs to change.
Wow. And then he added something like, and we want to help it change.
Because we need rebalancing, too. Yeah. It's a strong statement linking the two countries' needs together.
It really is. And we should probably remember, like, the background here. This isn't happening in a peaceful trade environment.
Not at all. As CBS News and others have reported, there's this ongoing escalating tariff war happening. Lots of back and forth hitting different sectors.
Right, those tariffs are definitely being felt. So talk of a big deal in that context. It feels significant, like maybe a potential off-ramp.
It could be framed that way, yeah. Or at least an attempt to find a different path. And it was flagged as, breaking news, suggesting it's all still very much in play. Things could develop.
So it's not like a finished agreement, he announced. More like laying out a vision.
Exactly. A potential direction. The
Huh.
U.S. focusing more inward on manufacturing, and China maybe looking more inward too, or at least diversifying away from just, pure export dominance. It suggests a pretty fundamental shift in the relationship, if it happens.
Okay, so boiling it down. The main thing to take away is the U.S. administration, through Bessent, is signaling there's potential for a major agreement.
Yes, and the core of that agreement would be this mutual economic rebalancing.
U.S. manufacturing up, China's export focus may be shifting down or at least changing.
That seems to be the essence of it, based on his remarks.
So that leaves us with a pretty big question to think about, doesn't it, for you listening?
Definitely. Like, what would it actually mean for an economy as huge as China's to really move away from that export-led model? What does that look like internally for them?
And on our side, what would a serious ramp up in U.S. manufacturing actually feel like? What changes might you see, day to day or in the bigger economic picture?
Yeah, what are the ripple effects?
Yeah.
So certainly something worth keeping an eye on as the story unfolds. Lots of potential implications there.